Ever get the feeling that some of the most exciting drama is happening behind the scenes of, like, international trade and stuff?
Oh, yeah, definitely. I mean, it's not always like boardrooms and stock tickers.
Yeah.
Sometimes the real action is in the fine print.
Right. Like, right now, we've got this situation unfolding that's a total bureaucratic thriller involving India and basically everyone trying to import goods into the country under FTAs.
FTAs.
Free trade agreements. I mean, we're talking about these agreements that are supposed to make trade smoother, less costly.
Right. Right.
But India just threw a curveball that's got importers scrambling and businesses sweating bullets.
What do they do?
So it all comes down to proving where your goods actually come from, right? Before it was like you just needed a certificate of origin saying, hey, this stuff was made in, Vietnam or whatever.
Okay, standard procedure.
Exactly. But now India is like, nope, not good enough anymore. We want proof of origin.
Proof? That sounds a lot more intense.
Way more intense. It's like, imagine you go to a restaurant, order a fancy meal,
Okay, love it.
and then the waiter's like, hey, before you dig in, can we see receipts from every single farm that supplied the ingredients for your dish?
That's ridiculous. No one keeps track of that.
Right. That's basically what importers are dealing with now. Like, suddenly they've got to produce mountains of documentation tracing the entire life story of their products just to get them through customs.
Wow. So what's the mission for today's deep dive then? Are we going to try and make sense of all this?
Absolutely. We're going to untangle this whole proof of origin mess, figure out why India decided to make this dramatic change, what kind of chaos it's unleashing for businesses, and ultimately what it tells us about the wild world of global trade.
Sounds like a plan. Let's do it.
So first things first, why this sudden crackdown? Why the switch from a simple certificate to demanding like hardcore evidence of origin?
Well, like you said, those FTAs are designed to boost trade between countries by offering lower tariffs.
Mm-hmm.
But, there are always folks trying to game the system.
Oh, for sure.
What we're seeing here is that India is worried about goods from non-FTA countries, say like China sneaking in through the back door.
I see. So like using an FTA partner country as a pit stop just to dodge those higher tariffs.
Exactly, like taking a detour just to use the toll-free lane.
Yeah.
You're technically following the rules, but not really in the spirit of the agreement.
Clever, but yeah, not cool. And so the old certificate of origin system just wasn't cutting it anymore.
Not really. I mean, it's not that the certificates were like fake or anything, but they could be manipulated or maybe not tell the whole story about where the economic value was actually added.
Ah, okay. So India decided they needed something more airtight, something that would actually stop these origin dodges.
Exactly. They want to protect their domestic industries from unfair competition and, of course, safeguard their own customs revenue.
Makes sense. So Bulimus enters the era of proof of origin. But this is where it gets really tricky, right? Like, what even counts as proof?
That's the million-dollar question. And unfortunately, there's no easy answer. Our sources are saying that there's no clear, standardized definition of what's acceptable. It's like super vague.
Oh, no.
Mm.
That sounds like a recipe for disaster.
It kind of is, because now customs officials have a ton of leeway to ask for whatever documentation they want.
Just like free-for-all.
Pretty much. They could demand anything from detailed invoices tracing every single raw material to like cost breakdowns showing exactly where value was added, maybe even process flow charts mapping out the whole production journey.
It's like they want a family tree for every imported item.
Uh-huh. Yeah, kind of. And for businesses, this is a huge problem.
I can imagine. Especially if they have to reveal all sorts of confidential information just to get their goods cleared.
Exactly. It's a huge concern for data privacy.
Yeah.
And the sheer burden of compliance is insane. Like, imagine having to share details not just about your direct suppliers, but also their suppliers. It's just not realistic.
Yeah, no company wants to spill all their trade secrets just to ship a box of widgets.
Right. And this vagueness also opens the door for all sorts of issues at the border.
Oh, yeah, like what?
Well, for starters, it creates a lot of room for interpretation, which can lead to inconsistencies and delays.
Oh.
One customs official might be cool with a certain document, while another might demand something totally different.
Yeah.
It's unpredictable and frustrating for importers.
Yeah, totally. And let's be honest, sometimes when things are unclear, it creates opportunities for, less than ethical behavior.
That's definitely a concern that's been raised. When the rules are vague, it can lead to arbitrary demands or worse.
So who's feeling the pain the most from all this? Are there specific industries that are getting hit harder than others?
Absolutely.
Mm.
If we look at the trade patterns coming from countries with FTAs with India, especially those in the ASEAN bloc, it's pretty clear that electronics, white goods like appliances and automotive components, are going to face the biggest challenges.
Makes sense. Those industries often have super complex global supply chains, right?
Totally. They source components from all over the world before assembling the final product in an FTA country. So proving the origin of every little piece is going to be a nightmare.
Yeah, I can imagine trying to track down the origin of every single microchip in a smartphone.
It's insane. And then there's the pharmaceutical industry.
What about them?
Well, the origin of the finished drugs might be straightforward, but what about the raw materials used to make them?
Oh, right.
A lot of those active ingredients or other key ingredients come from non-FTA countries, and then they're processed or formulated in an FTA partner before heading to India.
So they could run into the same proof of origin problems.
Exactly. It's a whole new level of scrutiny for the pharma sector.
So it seems like while the goal of preventing FTA abuse is valid, the way India is going about it is causing major headaches.
Yeah, there's a lot of pushback. Our sources are saying that this whole proof of origin thing is way too burdensome and that there needs to be more transparency.
Yeah, clearer guidelines, maybe?
Exactly. Some folks are arguing that instead of just dumping the burden on importers, India should set specific documentation requirements and maybe create a clear appeal process for when disputes pop up.
That sounds a lot more reasonable. It's all about finding that balance.
Right. You want to prevent fraud, but you don't want to stifle legitimate trade in the process.
Exactly. And right now, it seems like India might be tipping the scales too far in one direction.
It's definitely a risk. They could end up creating bureaucratic bottlenecks, slowing down trade flows, and ultimately driving up costs for everyone.
So basically, this whole shift from certificates to proof of origin is a major shakeup in the world of international trade. It's India's attempt to crack down on FTA dodgers. But the lack of clear rules is creating a ton of uncertainty and headaches for businesses.
Yeah, it's a big deal, especially for those industries with complex global supply chains.
Exactly. And the big question is whether this approach is actually effective, or if a more transparent system would be better for everyone in the long run.
That's the debate raging right now.
So next time you're holding an imported product, think about all the hoops that companies had to jump through just to get it into your hands.
Yeah, it's a wild ride behind the scenes.
Definitely gives you a whole new appreciation for the complexities of global trade.
Absolutely.
Well, that's it for our deep dive today. Thanks for listening.
Always a pleasure.
Catch you next time.
Indeed.